Sahana vavatu sahanau bhunaktu sahaviryankaravavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvisha vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyanatmani Mayaya Bahiribodbhutam Yatha Nidraya Yat Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So we were looking last week about the destination of our journey in life. Because it's a journey, we all know it because we are all doing something, going somewhere. The question is, where are we going? And we saw that from all the analysis, it appears that we are going around in circles, not really finding a clear path towards where we should be going. The question was, how come we don't know where we should be going? This is an amazing thing with so many people, billions of people in the earth. We all seem to be kind of lost. How is that possible? So the idea is that no one really that knows where the destination is there to guide me. I just don't find the right person. It doesn't mean that there isn't a destination. It's a matter of finding the right guide that knows and has the actual experience of saying, yes, this works. So how do we find that? We find that there are lots of people who pretend that they know. They feel that they know. Let's not say pretend. They feel that they know. But we don't really know whether they're the real people or not. So the question is, how do I find out who the right person is that can guide me to the destination? So we would say that we need to find a source that provides us a destination which is verifiable in this life itself. It's important. And verifiable on 3 grounds. One ground is an authoritative voice. The number 2 is that it should agree with some logic. Because I have been endowed with the faculty of thinking. And unless it is approximately in the area of what I can see, I'm not going to accept it. And the third one, of course, the most important one, is the actual experience. And when somebody is saying, yep, it works. So these are the 3 factors. Now, if you look, and these are the 3 factors that we should utilize in ascertaining who is the person that knows what our destination is. And if there are people that don't fulfill these 3 criteria, then I should be doubtful if that's the right person. So, for example, if the people say that this destination you cannot reach in this life, you have to we'll reach it in some other life, next life, or sometimes afterwards, but not in this life. There's no way. So I think we have grounds for doubting that person because we don't know. This is not it's a belief system, but not a verifiable belief system. I can't tell. Who knows what's going to happen? So this one does not pass the muster. No, then we say it can be reached here. No, we're not postponing it. It can be done, but it fails the other two criteria, logic and experience. Logic is provided by a proper analysis. And so to give you an idea of what proper analysis means, okay, so this is why Vedanta says that please, you should use proper analysis, but based on our suggestion. These are the questions you should be asking yourself and asking others who are advising you, whether this is a proper logic or not. So, for instance, is perhaps one of the more important ones, but there are others. Are you saying that reaching something involves some karma? And if the source of destination says, yeah, you have to do something. Just like you want to go to a different city, you have to do something. You have to look at the mode of travel, you have to get into it, all those kinds of things. So similarly here, if the journey is something away from you, not where you are, then it involves some action, some karma. Is that right? Yes, it does. Aha. Now we have a limitation of logic already. Because the law of the natural laws are that whatever karma is done has limited results. You're trying to reach infinity, right? As we were discussing in the last week. Nothing less than reaching infinity is acceptable to me. It may postpone some things, but eventually it's going to really fail. And so infinity cannot be reached by karma. Because the very karma itself is an antithesis of reaching the destination, because karma action always has results, and the natural laws are that limited action by nature is limited, and so the results will also be limited. So what this means is that even if the proponents of some path to this destination say, yes, we will give you this destination in this life, unlike the first type, which will say we cannot do it in this life, you have to do it in some other life. So if you agree with that, then the next question is, does it involve karma? And if the persons, and they all say this is what distinguishes Vedanta from others. They all say, yes, of course, you have to do some karma. Even there are offshoots of Vedanta, which we have briefly discussed, and we will go into this. This is a huge topic, is, do you need to meditate? There are offshoots there are different other people. This is not pure Vedanta. We'll have to extract this is the sampradaya of pure Vedanta, which is what we are following. But look at all these ancillary Vedantins who say, yeah. First you have to study books, then you have to close your eyes, and then you have to meditate. So you have to meditate means it's a karma. It's a mental karma. So even there, it needs to be set aside. This is not where karma by nature is limited, and even meditation by limit is limited, and it is not going to deliver the goods. Because, why not? Because it should be infinite, which means it should happen to me right now. And if it hasn't happened yet, by just doing meditation, you are just feeling better, but it's not going to really last. This is our major issues with yoga. We don't agree with the yogic principles that if you keep on improving yourself, improving the meditation, improving the method of meditation from savikalpa to nirvikalpa, you will reach there. So we say even savikalpa, nirvikalpa is also an action. Excuse me. It doesn't work. So we will see all this later in more detail. So all I'm saying is that these are the methods to ascertain who is the real proponent of the destination in my life. And the third thing is there are people who are logic also seems to be okay, but their experience is lacking. In other words, we examine how many people has understood this methodology, and we have to look at people who will say, yes, I followed this path, non-Vedantic path, and I can tell you they won't tell it to you, but even if they do tell it to you, you have to really question and see whether the person really knows. And as we saw in the question answers from one of the students at the retreat, we would even classify Ramana Maharshi's method of teaching into this. This is called the experience. We do not find any Mahatmas other than Ramana Maharshi himself and perhaps one or two that were very close to him. We don't know. I'm not an expert in this. But I'm telling you the ascertainment of other Mahatmas who have visited Ramana Maharshi, they have talked to people, they understand, they say this is not possible. So just to say, who am I, it is not going to work. Because we don't have any real experience of people that have really realized the soul, their own self. So therefore, this is the method to really ascertain who should we go to that can show us the marga, the method. So here Vedanta says that all three, namely Shruti, Yukti and Anubhava, authority, logic and experience, can be shown. Can be shown. We use the words carefully, it means can be shown. It doesn't say will be shown. It means I have the capability for you to investigate whether this can be done right here and now. This is what we have to do. But why is it that you're not telling me? Why don't you show it to me? Because it involves you. This is why we say Sahana Bhavatu. It's a combination. I will tell you, but if you don't understand, what am I going to do about it? So this is why we say, Vedanta says, that the Paramartha Marga, the path to total understanding, can be done. All three of them in this life itself, and it satisfies not only the authority and the logic, but also your own personal experience. And we have hundreds of people, if not thousands, who have achieved this, and if you are interested, you can go to them, talk to them, and to the best of your ability, you will be able to see that this works. This is what the Vedanta is, and therefore we conclude by saying that Vedanta is qualified, and as far as we know, is the only sampradaya which is qualified to give you information about the destination in this life, which you have been lacking so far. So this is what it is said. So now, given that, we have to examine what the nature of Vedanta is. Nature of Vedanta means how did it get started, who started it, and how is it disseminated. Tell us, you've got my interest. You've convinced me so far that you are a valid authority, but I want to understand more about it before I really follow you. So here the first thing that Vedanta says is, please understand that a set of instructions that are created by a human being is fallible, is not to be followed. So anyone that says, aha, I have figured it out, follow me and I will show you where to go. So you can ask the person, did you figure it out? You say, yeah, I figured it out. You should say, thank you very much, and goodbye. Why? Because a infallible destination, the instructions for infallible destination cannot be done by a fallible human being. And all human beings are fallible. We have limited ability. We can make mistakes no matter how wise we might be, but it cannot be done. So it cannot be started. The instructions for, so this is what it means, the moksha marga. Moksha marga is really what we're talking about. It cannot be started. Because who starts it? Some person starts it. And the person is defective. And the vidya is total and non-defective. You cannot do that. It does that. Okay. So what it means is, so then what are we supposed to do? So what it means is that it must already be there. Already be there. And how is it that, how will that be communicated? Okay, we'll discuss that in a minute. But to start with, this vidya cannot be started by a human being. So right away you can look at all these schools of thought, all these religions, all spiritual methods that are started by human beings, or one should avoid them. So what is transpiring? So what is the reality here? What's possible? So let's discuss that now. What is happening is that there is a world, a cosmos, an apparent creation. This creation, this cosmos, this world, Jagat, as it is said, it always is, always has been. In fact, the time and place is also part of the creation. You see, the time and space are not outside the creation. It's not as though the creation was started at a given time. That means that time was already there. No. The time is also part of the creation. The space is also part of the creation. All the things that are in the creation are also part of the creation. So at one time, there was nothing differentiated. It was all undifferentiated, but undifferentiated doesn't mean that it was not there. You see, the creation of the starting of the creation will be if there was something not there before the creation. And that would violate our own principle. So, even though there is an appearance of creation, what it is a manifestation and unmanifestation of creation. Very much like the night and the day of a human being. We don't die in our sleep. Although the sleep is very much like death, that there is nothing going on. I don't have any experiences, my mind is not there, and even my vayu, all the prana which is functioning, I'm not aware of. So the prana is just keeping my body alive, but nothing happens to me. I'm just as conscious during the sleep as I am during the non-sleep. So the consciousness doesn't change. I'm still the same. But the manifestation of consciousness is withdrawn. Similarly, from an entire cosmic standpoint, yes, there are periods where everything is withdrawn. So there's a very beautiful Sanskrit word to describe this. It just, it captures this whole thing. It says, Bijatmakaha Jagat. The Jagat is called Bijatmakaha. Bijatmakaha means it is the nature of seeds and its fructification. Seeds and fructification. I tell you, this explains so many things. It's just amazing. It explains who came first, the chicken or the egg? Who came first, the father or the son, or the mother or the daughter? Who created? Did the father create the son? No. The son and then creates another father. So who was the first father? Who was the first son? Who was the first daughter? Who was the first mother? No one. It is just Bijatmakaha. It has always been there. And the only thing is that it was not manifest. And so there is no point in asking who came first, who came last. There is no first, no last. It is just the way it is always. So this question is it ever going to go for me? Because it seems to be creating a problem for me. So we'll discuss that in a minute. But at first, the whole thing is anadi. Means the creation, and also individually, you and I may have a problem with the world. We may criticize, how is it that this president who has committed so many crimes has become the most powerful thing? So yeah, we can question all those kinds of things. But the fact of the matter is that the whole world is works. It works. It may not work for you and I individually, that's okay. But the creation itself works very well. There's no problem with it. You cannot, Ishvara doesn't suddenly say, oops, I made such a mistake, How did I get this person elected or this? No. It is exactly appropriate. I think I was discussing that with one of the students, and she and I were exchanging some notes. She was saying that she came to the realization and she just withdrew herself from this whole the turmoil of the elections and said, let it be what it is. I am okay. Why am I just beating up myself for wanting this and wanting that and so on? So I said I totally agree with it, and in fact I discovered this quite some time ago. And I was telling her that when Kamala Harris was nominated, we were genuinely very excited because pardon me, she's from this area, and actually my wife has not met her, but she has seen her because Kamala Harris has a hairdresser, hair salon, not just a hairdresser, but a whole salon in San Francisco that my wife used to go to too. And they're friends of ours. And at one time, these salon owners said, this is when she was running for president, whether we would like to have a fundraiser at our home for Kamala. This is in 2020. And we said, no, not really. So, we knew a little bit about her. So when she was nominated, we were a little bit excited. Wow, that's good, wonderful, there's a chance. But then as we got into the nitty-gritty of it, we felt that this election is too close. And I don't want to just get excited and disappointed and excited. So quite frankly, I just did not even see anything about how it is progressing. I would see news that these 7 states she's ahead in the beginning, but the honeymoon is fading. So I would see those news. It didn't mean anything to me. And even on the day of the election, I was not even looking at the news or anything. And I think as I was telling the student, that 8:30, I opened up my laptop. I don't watch TV at all. And on the New York Times, they had a needle that showed the probability of a person winning. And at 8:30 p.m. in California, it said that Trump is 89% chance of winning. I said, okay. I shut it down. And, I accept things as they are. Hopefully it'll all work out for America and the rest of the world. So, so the creation is as it is, and it's working. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. And the way to look at this whole creation, really, and this is it. Look at this part of it. So, the whole creation is like an ocean Infinite ocean, not our local earthly ocean. Imagine the concept of an ocean meaning, excuse me, ocean meaning no, you cannot see the end of it. That's the meaning of the ocean. You cannot see the depth of it. You cannot see the other side of it. It's just deep. It looks infinite. So the whole cosmos is like an infinite ocean of consciousness. Essence of Chit, Sat, and Ananda. It is the very nature of Paramatma, the whole ocean. And in this ocean, there is a possibility of many waves occurring in it. And each living being represents the wave in this ocean of consciousness. So this whole ocean of consciousness is one person. One person. Eka Jiva. There's not multiple people. You know, I think our acharyas have pointed this out, all the acharyas have pointed this out, that each one of us has multiple jivas within us. Multiple jivas. We have so many microbes, healthy cells, unhealthy cells, disease, fighting. There's so much going on, more than you would possibly believe. There's probably billions of them. And yet there's only one sense. Here I am. There's awake. So the jiva is like a single jiva for millions of organisms in it. So something similar to that is really the whole cosmos, where there is a single jiva called Ishvara. Single jiva. Swami Dayananji so beautifully used to say this. He says, you know, people say, we have one God, you have multiple gods. So you are a pagan religion. It's often the criticism against Hinduism, that you are a pagan religion, you have multiple gods. How can you do that? It all should be a single God. And Swami Dayananji used to say this. He says, you know what? It's not a question of whether there is one God or multiple God. There is only God. It's a beautiful way to express it. The whole thing is nothing but the only single God. So then the next thing is, given that situation, this is an important thing to really see. Each of the waves of this ocean, each of the jiva in this cosmos of consciousness has the ability to either understand that the essence of itself is nothing but the entire cosmic consciousness. One thing only. It's a single consciousness, not multiple. It either has the ability to understand that I am the single consciousness, which is the basis of everyone, or it can have the understanding that I am an individual, apart from everybody else. Yes, I have some issues, I've got some problems, but it doesn't matter. At least I am somebody unique, somebody different. You're going to have that consciousness, that understanding. Or you have an understanding that I am unique in a different way. I am everything. You're going to have that. So that choice is purely you. And that choice is not mandated by Ishvara. It's not as though one day he said, you know, I'm going to decide that all these people, they are all going to be individuals and they're going to be on their own. Nothing like this. This is the way things are. It is all one ocean. It's one cosmos. This is the view of Vedanta. And you have a choice of how you want to look upon yourself. This is Vedanta. You were talking about tenets of Vedanta. So we're talking about what Vedanta is saying about the destination of this journey. This is the way to look at it. It says, really speaking, you don't have to go anywhere. You cannot go anywhere. Even you are going somewhere, you are still you. There is no reason to go anywhere. You are. You cannot go anywhere because you are the whole thing. Sarvatmakaha. Bhuma. This is called Bhuma. Means you are the whole thing. You just don't see it at this point. That's all. It's just like saying you are the whole dream. You are the creator. You are the created. You are the mind. You are the thoughts. Everything is just you. So this is Vedanta, which says, and so one of the aspects of Vedanta, which is an important thing, is that sukha dukkha. Sukha means, fun, pleasure, happiness. And dukkha means just the opposite. Is very much in your hand. Very much in your hand. How you want to look at it. And really, this is the destination of this life. You don't need to go anywhere. You just need sitting right where you are. You have to be convinced by the Shruti that you are okay the way you are. And right now you're protesting and you're not agreeing with it. All kinds of things. You say, no, how can that be? Everybody else is going somewhere. They're all doing something. They're doing meditation. They're going to temples and so on. And you're telling me I'm okay the way I am. I don't feel that at all. We know it. We know it. But you are. That was the example. I think I've told this example that Swami Chinmanand used to give about, remember I've given you this example, that in India, at the holy time, there is a kind of a custom in colleges that they have they drink bhang, which is a liquid marijuana. Now, I have never taken it, so I've just heard about it. And so you ingest this bhang, you become kind of you have some, just like marijuana. You have some fun. Your mind stops to doesn't bother you anymore. You're like you're inebriated, I guess. I don't know, something like that. So this guy from the suburbs, from away from the town, he was at this college, and they were drinking bhang, and it didn't suit him, and he became delirious, and he kept saying, "I want to go home. This is a story by Swami Chinmananda. It's just something stuck in my mind. I want to go home. And so people said, no, 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 it's okay. You're just, he says, no, 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 I want to go home. I don't want. His friends got really frantic. So they called up his dad and said, sir, we've got a problem on our hands. We all are having fun. And this guy maybe had drunk a little bit too much. And he's delirious. Please come and take him. So his father came in and put in the back seat, and he kept on saying, I want to go home, I want to go home. So then he finally took home, lay him down, covered him, nice pillows and so on. He kept shouting, I want to go home, I want to go home. So his father kept saying, you are home, my dear, you are home. He says, no, 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 I'm not at home, I want to go home. You know, this is our situation, believe it or not. Ishvara is saying, hello, you're home, you're okay. And I said, I'm not okay, I'm not okay. I want to do some things. My job's bothering me. I'm doing this, so on and so forth. And all the time Ishvara says, you're okay. And I don't understand how I'm okay. So there it is said, Swami Chinmananda also used to say that you have ingested the bhang of Maya. And so when something like this happens, he's lying in his bed and shouting, I want to go home. You just have to find time and making drink some coffee or something like this, accelerate the process of taking away the effects of the bhang, and in due course of time you're going to be okay. So therefore Vedanta says, my dear, not only do your destination is going to be clear, you don't need to go anywhere. You're already not, you don't have to go anywhere. But we say, what are you talking about? I have things to do, places to go to, mountains to climb, things to accomplish. I want to be an important person. I want to make money. And Vedanta says, no, you don't. You don't need to do anything. Just reflect on the fact that you are okay. And I will help you. You may not understand that right now, but let me tell you how the steps are for you to see I'm okay. No, 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 but I don't know about Vedanta will be later, but I'm very busy these days. I've got an exam and I have to do this. I'm looking for a new job and I'm doing this and those. So Ishvara says, okay, all right. But okay, promise after this, then you will examine yourself rather than the world. Okay, I'll do that later. Say, hello, you've got the job. Now, when are you going to reflect? Well, not right now. This is what happens. Then our kids are born. Grandkids are born. People should be retiring and just reflecting. But we are going around, going to Africa, South America. I haven't seen this, I haven't seen that. So this is what happens. So so the destination of this is that your drishti as that you are a separate jiva needs to be investigated. What are you really consisting of? What are your constituents? Here, as you know, in the Drikdishya Viveka is a very beautiful verse which says, Asti bhati priyam rupam namacha iti ansha panchakam. So in your makeup, who you are, there are 5 aspects to it. Amsha here doesn't mean parts. Amsha really normally means parts. So they are not parts as such, it's just a way of saying it. There are 5 aspects. What are those 5 aspects? Asti, I am. Bhati, I know. Priyam, I am never inimical to myself, as we saw in the Saturday class in more detail. Not requiring any pramana, not requiring any sadhana. There are 3 things that I don't need any proof for. Do you need a proof of the fact that you are? No. Do you need a proof of the fact that you know that you are? No. You don't need any proof. Do you need any proof the fact that you're always thinking everything from your own standpoint, your own ananda? No, I always think about from my own self. Those things are given. There's no pramana necessary. Sometimes, this is what we were discussing on the Saturday, and even here we should understand it, that sometimes the teaching of Vedanta has to be done in stages. There is an undergraduate stage and there's a graduate stage, as I've been saying this over and over again. But it needs to be internalized. So in the beginning we said, there are 6 sadhanas, 6 ways of knowing, pratyaksha, anumana, and arthapatti, etc., etc. And one of them is shabda jnanam. Shabda jnana means an introduction. So shabda is considered to be one of the sadhanas. One of the pramanas, one of the proofs. Just like seeing is a pramana, hearing is a pramana. Therefore, an introduction by the Shastra is also a pramana. This was the basic Vedanta that we had been taught, right? Well, when you come to advanced Vedanta, you have to revise those. That was okay for the time being to assume this is the way things are. But the advanced Vedanta says, this is a very important thing, honestly. We are going to spend, hopefully, and I want you to really reflect on this on your own, that there are 3 things that do not require any proof. What are those? Asti bhati priyam. Asti bhati priyam. Asti bhati priyam. Satchit anandaha. Satyam jnanam anantam. These 3 things about you. Think about yourself. You don't need any proof for these 3 things. You don't need to ask anybody, am I there? You don't need to ask anybody, do I know that I'm there? Do I have that conscious ability? You don't have to ask anybody. And you don't have to ask anybody, am I always acting on for my own ananda. It's a given that you are. That's why the parents never have to teach their children, be happy. We can say it, why are you unhappy? Please don't be unhappy. Don't cry. But we never have to say, be happy, because happiness is the very nature of the human being. As we will discuss in more specifics. So those three things, you don't need any proof. Now that's the only thing that you don't need any proof. Everything else you need to have a proof. So the Anandji also used to say this, that you are, you don't need any proof. But what you are, you need a proof. And this is the point where we ended the Saturday class, and when the next Saturday comes in, we will take from that point on. What do you mean by what I am? Where is the sadhana? What is the proof? What is the pramana necessary for that? But for the time being, that I am, that I know, and that I am Ananda doesn't need any proof. This is the only three things that you don't need any proof. Everything else in the life is you need a proof. This is a very unique thing. And it's very interesting that these are the most important things in my life. And what we say when you say you don't need any proof? What do you mean? What do we mean when we say you don't need any proof? What does that mean? That means that's who I am. Everything else I have to struggle for. But that I am Sat Swarupa. I am the nature of truth, independent of time. I don't need any proof. This is an amazing thing. And the moment I stop fighting against this truth, I have found the destination. There is no one else that explains this to me. Because all my life, all my previous life, and that means this life, because my presence of this life is nothing but a continuation of my previous life. I'm struggling. And I'm struggling because I don't see the very basic thing that I don't need anything. That I am Satchidananda is not to be proven. I am. This is the destination. So to complete this verse from Viktisya Viveka, Asti bhati priyam rupam namacha iti amsha panchakam. I have 5 different aspects. Asti bhati priyam. Then nama rupa, a form and a name. These are mine. Then the second line says, Adyatrayam Brahmarupam Jagatrupam Tatodvayam. It says out of the 5, the first 3 are the nature of Brahman, nature of you, the Atma. And Jagat Rupam Tatodvayam. The other 2, Tatodvayam means the other 2, naming what? Nama Rupa, are belonging to the Jagat. Fortunately, Asti bhati priyam is reality, and nama and rupa are based on the reality, but they are not really reality. Name is not a reality. It is just an assumption. And form is also not a reality. Why is the form not reality? Because it is not independent. It is not independently real. It is based on asti bhati priyam. Anyway, we'll go into that in more detail later on. Okay, so let's go on to, what we're discussing here is the general topic of how do we find the source of destination in this life? If you tell me that I'm going round and round in circles and I'm lost, tell me where I should be going and how to get there. So this is what we are discussing, the very nature of Vedanta. So let's go on with it, and I don't think I can finish it. It's 8:55 already, but let's see, we can make a lot of progress. So now, the question is, if this is the reality, if this is the reality of the destination that you speak of, then where is it found, and how is it that I never knew this? So the answer to the first question is, it is found in the Vedas. And the word Vedas means a body of knowledge, because it comes from the dhatu vid, to know. So the whole Vedas is nothing but in the form of knowledge. Knowledge of the self, of course, in the form of Vedanta, but also in the form of other things, as we will see in a minute. And this Vedas is vast, it's comprehensive, it touches every facet of one's life. It has many layers of literature. And all these layers of literature, which we will describe in a minute, all these different forms like Vedas and Bhagavad Gita and Purana and Smriti and all those kinds of things, are they talking about different things? Are they talking about different details? No. They are unfolding a single core point. Everywhere. This is what is called Tatparya Nishchaya. Ascertainment of Tatparya. Tatparya means the real essence of what this whole vast literature is all about. It can be summarized in a very simple verse, simple sentence, which says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivaha Brahma Evanatu Aparaha. From Adi Shankara. This is the Tatparya. Right? This is the Tatparya. It means you that are a parichinna vastu, a limited being, is actually nothing but the unlimited being. There is no difference between a limited being and an unlimited. It is only a matter of perception. So as we have seen, the room space is not different from space. They are not two things. It's the same thing, but measured from a different perspective. That's all. This is the essence of the entire literature. What are the different layers of literature? So there are 6 of them. One is the Upanishads. So there are 4 Vedas, Rik, Sama, Atharva, and Yajuhu. And by the way, these 4 were arranged by the rishis, and it could have been done in any other way. It's not so, because the Vedas are vast. The Vedic literature is vast. So because it was done by some rishis, that could have been done differently. But for our purposes, our kala, we find that there are four of them: Rik, Sama, Yajuhu, and Atharva. Each one of them has 3 sections: karma section, having to do with action, rituals; upasana section, on mental karma, prayers; and jnana section, which has to do with knowledge. The jnana section is Vedanta, which forms a very small portion of all the Vedas, small in size, but it is the essence of the whole Veda. And also, these Upanishads and this Shastra, how did it come to the human beings? If you're saying it was already there, how is it that, by what process does it come to the human beings? So there, as you know very well by now, that it is not as though the rishis invented this. This is already there by Ishvara. But the rishi, because of the purity of their thoughts, how mature their mind was, they were able to capture, and how the maturity there was from their previous life of study and so on and so forth. But they were able to capture the essence of these Vedas and reveal it to the human beings. And it is very much like, at this point also, you probably have millions of Vedic scriptures in the cosmos. Millions, billions, infinite. Veda is not just limited to 4. There's infinite number of verses and shlokas and mantras floating around in the air. Very much like, for example, if you go to a major city like San Francisco or Dallas or New York, the number of AM and FM stations there are countless. It's countless. But if you have the right mechanism to capture those waves, electromagnetic waves, then those can be captured and played out in terms of pictures and sounds and so on. Codes. That can be done. So similarly here, even though the Vedas are vast, but the rishis were able to transform that wisdom into something that could be understood by us. So there we saw that the first layer of literature is the Shruti. Shruti means that it is all heard. There's a very beautiful verse in Kena Upanishad that I was reminding, I wrote it down. It's Kena Upanishad 1:4. It says, Anyat eva tat viditat atha aviditat adhi. Iti shushruma purvesham ye nah tas tat vyacha chakshire. He says the Atma is neither seen or known, neither is it unknown and unseen. It is different from the seen and different from the unseen. You cannot say that if you cannot see it, therefore it must not be there. It's the only thing which is not seen but still be there. So this is the meaning of it. Anya deva hi tad viditat atho aviditat adhi. Then the second line is beautiful in this context. Iti shushruma purvesham. He says this is what we have heard. So here it means Shruti, means that it cannot be figured out on your own. Somebody has to tell you. And it cannot even be written down on a piece of paper that you can write down after you've understood it. Basically, you've understood it, but initially you have to hear it. That's why it is called Shruti. And even though this is not human-made, it is apaurushaya, but the ability for the rishis to interpret it for you and I is what is called revelation. They reveal it for us. So this is the first layer, which is Shruti. Then the second layer is Smriti. Smriti now is man-made. It is man-made. So there it is done by Vyasa or someone else. So Vyasa is of course a rishi, most important rishi. And so they can now interpret the Shruti in human experience, consistent with what is done. So it is not their own thinking. It is not starting something new. That's why what Adi Shankara and Vyasa and all these people, Gaudapadacharya, they are simply revealing what the Vedas are already saying already. They are not starting a new religion, as opposed to myriads of new religions that are started. Even Vishishta Advaita, all kinds of things. And then, of course, Buddhism, Jainism, Sankhya, and all those kinds of things. They're all started. But in the case of Vedanta, it is never started. It was revealed only. So Smriti. Then the third layer is Purana. And by the way these things are structured, it gets easier to understand. The Shruti requires a lot of background, not easy. Smriti is easier. Purana, which is all stories, including the most important Purana, which is Bhagavatam, is also stories, and you understand a little bit easier. Then comes the Sutra literature, and basically there are two sutras. One is Vedanta Sutra by Vyasa, and the other one is Sankhya Sutra for the Sankhyas, and those are not obtainable anymore. We have commentaries on it that are obtainable, but the sutra itself is lost. So there's essentially only one sutra, Brahma Sutra, is left. And the Brahma Sutra is also a book of clarification, as we have seen. It's kind of something like the proceedings of the Supreme Court that have considered all aspects of it and gives the final answer in a very logical way. So that's the sutra. Then the sixth one, so the five are Shruti, Smriti, Purana, and I missed one, Itihasa. Itihasa means Ramayana and Mahabharata. And so Ramayana and Mahabharata also are nothing but same tatparya, same central meaning. And those are not considered to be just stories that really happened. To affirm that life should be lived in such a way that this becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. So the very story of Ramayana and Mahabharata is to underscore the very same tatparya, itihasa, then sutra. And finally, this bhashya literature and prakarana grantha literature. So there we have all the prakarana grantha. Prakarana grantha means books of topics, specific topics, not the entire thing. Viveka Chudamani, Panchadashi, Sadhana Panchakam, Drigdashya Viveka, Naishkarnya Siddhi, Vakya Vritti, Aparoksha Anubhuti, Vichara Sagara, a more recent one, highly regarded, Vichara Sagara. Vichara Sagara is the only one recently. It is so highly regarded that it was composed originally in Hindi and then it was translated into Sanskrit. But the original manuscript is in Hindi, Vichara Sagara. Swami Akhandananda also speaks very highly of it. Swami Paramarthananda in Chennai, he is very fond of Vichara Sagara. He has given several classes. I haven't gone through his classes, but I know it. So these are all the pieces of literature. Then to complete this, just a couple of more minutes, we also have supplementary literature that support the primary 6 levels of these Shruti, Smriti, Purana, Itihasa, Sutra and Bhashya. So those supplementary literatures are called either Upaveda or they are called Vedanga or Upaveda. Upavedas there are 4 of them. Ayurveda, so the very science of health, is considered to be an Upaveda. Has the same rigor, same background, same depth, same antiquity. And it works. Then Gandharva Veda. Gandharva Veda is all about music and dances, all in the form of love for Ishvara, love for knowledge. So when you have Shastra Sangeet, when you have all this classical music and you chant, your mind becomes very pure. So the Gandharva Veda is also an Upaveda. Then Sthapatya Veda, which is the logic of architecture. And finally Dhanurveda, which is the Veda of fighting, on how to fight properly. So these are the Upaveda. Vedanga are 6. One is Shiksha, which is called phonetics. And so, for example, the chanting methods, all the methods of of Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai. So this is all called Shiksha. There's a science behind it. Then Chandasam, which is poetic synthesis, poetic symmetry rather, poetic symmetry. Then Nirukta, etymology. Then Vyakarana, grammar. Kalpa, which is rituals. And finally, Jyotisha, which is astrology. So these are the Vedanga. And in all the whole literature, the Tatparya is the same. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivoho Brahma Eva Natu Aparaha. Jiva is nothing but Brahma. It is not different from it. So in terms of finding who is going to give me the destination, Vedanta raises its head and says, I can. If you follow me, I will lead you to what you were born for. Otherwise, you will have to waste another life, and in the next life you'll have to discover the same thing. You might as well do it now. Sooner or later you have to pass through this door. So this is the second, we have now done a couple of them. One is that we are to understand that we are lost. We don't even know that we are lost until we understand that we are lost. So that is one of the tenets of Advaita Vedanta. And the second one is, how are we going to know what is the right destination? And so today's class was about that, and so we will go forward with that. Okay, so let me end with that. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Tenets of all right, good. I want to mention to you that next Tuesday we will not have a class. I don't think I mentioned that in my WhatsApp message, so I will send one. Next week is an important week for our family because 3 of our family members have birthdays. My oldest granddaughter has her birthday on the 20th. My older son has his birthday on the 23rd. And my younger son has a birthday on the 27th. And so this is a kind of a birthday week. And we were not sure how we were going to celebrate all the 3 birthdays, but just decided a little while ago that we're going to have to do that on Tuesday. So they asked me if I could cancel the class. So I said, fine, I'll do that. There's a lot of reasons for doing that. So next weekend, next Saturday, next Tuesday, we will not have a class. And I will send you a WhatsApp message to confirm that. Okay. Don't see any questions. So with that, I take your leave and I'll hopefully see you next week. Hari Om.